Yeah, yeah. We just hit week number 3, and like every week I've seen progress and change and what's going on with our bodies and how we're moving. Now my movement specific to myself doesn't look terrible. I see things every single week in the videos that I look over that I would like to improve because I'm paying attention to what my brothers and are doing. I'm not gonna say my daughter's name. My brothers and my daughter are doing, and something in me watching other people, something that I've always done myself, and this is something that I've said to people in the past when I'm in the gym and I coach, is try to watch other people move, and then when they're doing something and based on what you've been told or what you've learned that what they're doing is not optimal, try to fix it in yourself. Don't be a correcty, coachy kind of person when you're working out in a group. You're not a trainer. You are a training partner. So seeing it in somebody else, the goal is not to tell them, hey, you're doing that wrong. Here's how you were supposed to do it. Here's what he said. Here's what they said. Here's how, blah, blah. All those things aren't conducive to like a good training group in my experience. And it's better just to see somebody do something, you see it, and then you fix it in yourself. That way, when you go, they can see you do it and do the exact same thing. So the group is kind of pushing each other forward with the understanding that we're all learning and we're all practitioners and we're also all examples. And through us being an example, we are doing our best. So there's no difference between me or them over there. We're all doing the best we can. And if you're in a training facility and that is kind of the culture of the facility, very easy just to look at everybody as an example. Also, everybody as a pupil and everybody as somebody that you understand, because we're all pretty much doing the same thing. So week to week with our training, we change, and I'm starting to see in week 3, it's just week 3, that body position, attention to setup and performance is changing. Now, our ability to like maintain positions, I notice in my little brothers and my daughter, it's hard because it takes strengthening quality positions over time. But today's the first day we maxed, and we did it. We built to something that felt heavy, and of course things don't look how they're gonna look in a month, but compared to how they looked 2 weeks ago, it's fucking crazy and pretty exciting. Some things that have been helping us is through warm-ups and the mundane routine, like they're kind of starting to get a little bit bored with it, which means they're able to pay attention to intention. And that's when I feel like I can do a little more work and kind of have them in a position where they're able to use their brains to kind of influence their bodies. So before we started the session today, we did a lot of breath work, bracing practices, and that took majority of the time. But through doing that, prior to doing kettlebell prep and then deadlift warm-up, when we went to deadlifting, it was kind of like they didn't have to think about what they were supposed to do because we'd already done it for 40 minutes. So when we went to deadlifting, it was like, all right, you got 7 sets, motherfucker, just build up and let's see what you can hit. And I was really, really happy with what they were doing before their lifts, like their movement prep, I thought was so dope. So that stuff is exciting to see. And it's interesting to see all of these things because I'm seeing things that I love now being practiced by people that I love, and man, it's been pretty cool. Each session, people get into it as we go, and there are days when they don't feel like doing it, and there are days that I don't feel like doing it, but the more consistently we show up, the better the result. My daughter was asking today in this session, like, all right, like, she didn't say this is the 3rd week, but she's like, okay, like, when am I going to be buff? And I feel that, like, a lot about this stuff is so routine and mundane, and a lot of the changes that you see are so small that you won't see them on a day-to-day basis. You won't really feel them on a day-to-day basis if you're paying attention to the wrong things. So we practice these things, and it's a process, and when you're in the process you can't really notice the progression. And I think it's important to post video and to see changes and to bring attention to change. That way, you know, those little things are something that you can visually see, and then you can take note of it in your brain, and you know, you don't gotta feel bad about not having a big old fat ass 3 weeks into a workout, but you get an opportunity to kind of see that this stuff is working to change how you do something. And if you change how you do something, you can fine-tune the approach. You fine-tune the approach, you can maximize your progress. And if you do that, you can, I won't say shorten the amount of time it takes to do something, but you can optimize that time and you'll see maximum results for what you're doing. It's not going to be like, you know, taking steroids or getting on TRT. You're not going to see huge changes in that, and your attitude takes time to shift. But we're also practicing math last night, and there's something that I said to my daughter that may be terrible parenting, but time will tell. And I said that if she gets a B, 1B this year, then she's getting held back. And this is just because for a long time I wanted to hold her back just because I want to give her a chance to grow, and I don't want her to, you know, be the youngest person in her grade and her body not mature to the point where she doesn't have an option to reach her physical potential when it could be most beneficial if she wanted to play sports or something like that. So with all that in mind, I told her, hey, if you get 1B, then it's over for you. And with that, she's kind of, I was scared saying that initially, because that wasn't her goal, to get straight A's. But that's something that I think is important because, well, at least to put that now. It's really hard to get straight A's, and it's really hard. I know some people watching this video can't remember what it was like to be in school, but I remember what it was like to be a shitty student, and I remember what it was like to be a good student. And being a good student took way less time, significantly less amount of time, and it involved a lot less stress. And I think it was like a much healthier version of myself. And being a bad student, just like being a bad practitioner of anything, I think you kind of burn the candle at both ends, and then you don't optimize your input, which means you can't maximize the output. And you could look at any situation similar to that approach with math, or at least my experience with math in school. And if you look at it like there are people in the world of mathematics, this is what I try to explain to my daughter, that know things and understand that the process of coming to know the things was daily routine work. And it's getting into groups of people who are kind of practicing the same things, gives you an opportunity to learn from those who have done already. And that doesn't mean there's like a professor and then a pupil. It's kind of like they're practitioners. So just like with our fitness stuff and what we're doing for strength and conditioning, I find the approach to mathematics when I'm relearning pre-algebra, there are principles to it. And what I find for myself is like, it helps me to be able to help her if I practice the same things on a daily basis. So it's all about approach. Something my wrestling coach used to say is like, it's effort and attitude. So those are the things that we're trying to put into math, as well as trying to put them into training, because if you have that, those are the things that kind of translate into life outside of when practice makes sense, Something that I've found in my adult life is that like it's easy to focus when you have school. It's easy to focus when you have... No, I won't say that. It's easy to have something to focus on when you have school. It's easy to have something to focus on when you have practice in sports. And it was easy for me to focus on things. You know, when I played video games or something, I could focus on those things. And in my adult life, the goals are kind of, they always have been, but when I was younger, I remember feeling like, you know, this is what adults told me to do, so that's what I do. A coach tells me this, and that didn't make me into a practitioner. It made me into a shitty student. And that approach, I'm not saying the coaches, my approach to practice and process back then made me into a shitty student and a shitty pupil of athletics. And what I think is extremely important is to start that process as early on as is appropriate. And what I'm learning through my daughter and through my relationship with my daughter and my relationship with my brothers and my relationship with pretty much everything is that anyone can practice the principles of a process. And it takes a lot of humility in order to be vulnerable enough, or allow yourself to be vulnerable enough to acknowledge that you are where you are. And everybody can feel, I want to be somewhere else. I want to be further along in this than I am. And that is very dismissive of the process and what it can represent if you just allow yourself to be a practitioner. So rather than my daughter freaking out about mathematics and thinking, oh, if I get this B, like I'm gonna have to get held back and that's gonna suck. She wants to, like, if this is the thing and she's working on this thing, but she doesn't know any of this stuff, and she thinks, oh, I just need to get past pre-algebra. The next step is algebra, and then after that is algebra 2, and then from there pre-calculus, and then like the steps don't change. And she wants to ignore this stuff right here, the, you know, daily routine bullshit of working out, and she wants to just get the thing that is the benefit of working out, or the grade, or whatever the thing is. And if you avoid all this stuff, you don't really get to this stuff, which means that this stuff is, you know, never going to happen, or at least not going to be easy. So rather than focusing on next steps over the result of the current steps you're working on, I find it a lot more beneficial just to focus on where you're at. Not that one step at a time shit, but you are where you are, and then where you're going, it matters in reference to what you're doing. That's why I'm tracking numbers for all of us. That's why I'm trying to pay attention to how we're moving and how those things are progressing. And I know if we just focus on those things, then we're going to keep kicking ass moving forward. So I've kind of been down this road before, and I'm going down this road and learning things as I continue to walk, not the same path, but I would say practice the same art. And that's right. That's why I think, like, the martial artists and shit like that, like they kind of run into that mindset. And I think that's a world and a culture that's been created around that makes it easy. So trying to apply some of the things I've seen from Jackie Chan movies and shit. I won't even say Bruce Lee, because I ain't even fuck with Bruce Lee. But yeah, martial arts and shit, man, they know what they're doing, and they know what's important, and I think a lot of that is just focusing on the now. Yeah, that's how you get that Kill Bill shit, you know what I mean? So in remembrance of Beatrix Kiddo, I think it's important to pay attention to where you are and listen to people who know a little bit more, and not think that you are not one of those people, but understand that there are levels to things, and that doesn't mean it's a negative thing. It just means that everybody should be learning or could be learning, and whether you should be or could be, it's a choice. So rather than waste time, pay attention, be present, and keep it pushing, man. See you guys in the next one, motherfucker.